So many great JRPGs are often left in Japan, never to be localized. Instead, we get a bunch of mediocrity every now and then. That's right, so many great JRPGs are left there, and instead we get either very mediocre JRPGs, or just really bad JRPGs, or just really messed up JRPGs. And today you're about to meet 10 perfect examples of those very same definitions. Oh yeah, games, JRPGs that in my opinion should have stayed in Japan! Let's get this bastard out of the way first. You know I hate it, you know I've trashed it before. There's really no point in explaining again why I think it's one of the worst RPGs of all time that has ever been localized outside Japan. But for the sake of those new to this video, I'll oblige. This putrid garbage is the masterpiece of stupidity. Its sublime mediocrity is the only aspect that complies within its ridiculous agenda. It attempted to be an original RPG with a cute story and a comedy that was poorly written and just plain pathetic. Battles are fought within turns, as you shoot with your gun with any of the two girls you'll be playing as, since they're one and the same, with almost zero difference between them. Camera moves horribly forward for every single attack you or your enemies do. That is a visual seizure. Both times I took my chances with this horrible catastrophe, I got a headache. I tried enjoying this game, I really tried, but I failed, and never in my life had I felt so proud for failing at something. It wasn't a terrible idea for a game, I must admit, but the execution completely annihilated any sort of possibility it had. This game should have definitely stayed in Japan. It's the kind of horseshit that never gets localized, so why this instead of many other great JRPGs out there? Why? Number 9. The Twisted Tales of Spikemukbang. You're not hearing things. That's the name of an action Japanese RPG for the Super Nintendo. It has a lot of influence from the old 30s and 40s cartoons, and the main idea was to recreate a story of their own with this background. The result was a mediocre game. Not exactly bad, but not exactly good either. It's games like this that founded the true meaning of the term shovelware that exists nowadays even within role-playing games. To make matters worse, it's hard to find and considerably expensive, especially if you want a complete in-box version. Is it worth your money? Hell no! It's just one of those top-down action games that were designed with little to no effort or expertise whatsoever. The RPG elements feel kinda there, but they're uninspiring and boring. It's just one of those RPGs with absolutely no reason for you to care about. Why localize a game like this and leave something 10,000 times better like Secret of Mana 2? I don't get it! Number 8. Monster Seed. There are many reasons why certain great games never get localized. It isn't just one or two revolving around every single case. But when there's games like Monster Seed, who's the exact definition of generic, who's nothing but a blatant clone of Pokemon series, all mixed up in an attempt to create a strategy RPG, you really start questioning those reasons. Again, it's not a bad game at all, but there are hundreds of thousands of other RPGs you might want to play instead. In this world, Japan being a perfect example, whenever something starts trending, such as Pokemon of course, competition lacking originality and purity starts flourishing everywhere you go. Japanese game developers love to exploit these kinds of things, and the products are always shovelware titles that shouldn't even exist. Monster Seed is one of the best representatives of mediocrity that was very present in the 90s, as it was utterly crushed by dozens of other great JRPGs that were thankfully localized for the PlayStation. Number 7. Theresia. let's discuss now one of the other truthfully worst JRPGs of all time. Theresia on the Sega Genesis. This god-awful abomination is golden proof that localization teams and publishing companies were screwing up since the early 90s. You think today's standards are trash? Just look at this sublime diarrhea of a game. Theresia looked promising at the beginning, but the moment you begin navigating the first town, you realize something is just wrong, as if it was lacking everything that decent RPG should have. And I'm not talking about charm or uniqueness or appeal. I'm talking about the dazzling amount of inspiration the developers had when they created this utter piece of trash. Nothing. Not a single drop of creativity went into this. A turn-based RPG that's a disgrace for the genre and should have stayed in Japan forever, buried under the other 10,000 failed projects there have been in life. I wish I could properly review this idiotic freak of nature, but it made me rage quit so hard for being so bad that I don't even want to talk about it anymore. Number 6. Mokomoko Friends. Cute RPGs are cute graphics, cute colors, cute characters, cute design, cute monsters, cute music, cute everything. Sometimes the cuteness pulls through and manages to get a proper audience. This imbecile game, with one of the worst names you can ever imagine, does not. Again, it's not a bad game. Like I said at the beginning of this video, there are RPGs here that aren't bad at all. So yeah, it's not bad, it's just stupid. And I don't mean that in a way that the game is silly and fun, because that's just a matter of perspective. I'm pretty sure by now you're thinking that these games got localized because the people who brought them overseas thought that there is actually a market for them. And there is, but it's extremely small and it only amounts to losses in one way or another. I really mean to ask, why leave great games behind, exclusive to Japan, and bring us mediocrity after mediocrity over and over again? Mokomoko Friends, a poor attempt to redesign the Pokemon idea, quickly stayed in the boat of oblivion, sinking low with all the generic garbage that's always meant to be drowned. Number 5. Quest 64. Quest 64 is certainly one of the most infamous JRPGs of all time. It's considered by many reviewers and gamers as one of the worst. Me, I played it and thought it was okay. But okay as in I don't care for it. It was supposed to be a great project, originally called Holy Magic Century outside of North America and Ale-Tailed Monsters in Japan. The Nintendo 64 had barely any JRPGs available for localization, and companies like THQ and Konami, who published the game outside the country, knew it very well. It was the worst RPG ever released for the system in North America, and that brought many questions as to its origins. So imagine the expectations. Quest 64 ultimately failed to accomplish anything at all outside Japan, and shoved in on faces that the system just wasn't made for RPGs, even though some other titles were later developed for it. This action RPG was slow, dull, boring, uninspiring, and any of the other common adjectives you can come up with for a game that no one wants to play. Number 4. Unlimited Saga. Here we are again with yet another very infamous title. One that many gamers came across to satisfy their curiosity in RPGs. Well, you know the saying, curiosity killed the cat. I have nothing against the Saga franchise, considering I'm a fan of a couple titles here and there, but this game in particular blew the horn of disgrace in the entire world outside Japan. Harsh criticism went immediately towards its awkward gameplay mechanics, focusing on random and non-linear exploration with poor explanations of pretty much anything. Battle system is a damn mess, as is the rest of the game, using the real system which works like a roulette that may result in good or bad situations. So your whole gameplay experiences revolve around luck, but inefficiently designed. This turn-based RPG lacks one simple thing that no RPG should ever lack under any circumstances: inspiration. Games today are full of cliches, stereotypes, repetitive gameplay, and overused mechanics. But we still play them, right? Why? Because there's something there that pulls us into them. Unlimited Saga, tragically, has nothing of the sort, and it's just a game that should have stayed in Japan in place of other good titles that were never released here. Number 3. Beyond the Beyond. Sadly, this is yet another example as the previous game in this list. As one of the very first JRPGs ever localized for the system, it had a traditional turn-based battle mechanic that most people were familiarized back then. Sure, it had different things like an active playing system where you could press the X button at the correct time to cause more damage or reduce it, but that was nothing special and the overall feature felt depressingly dull. Like I've been saying in the entire video, why will companies localize these mediocre, generic and uninspired games to the rest of the world while leaving awesome games full of charm and personality only in Japan? Nobody wanted this game and Sony still brought it. Of course it has its fans. I can actually feel them right now in the comment section below typing their monologues in its defense, and that's cool. I mean, some people bought this game and enjoyed it, right? But did we really need it? Don't you think better games should have taken its place? Number 2. Final Fantasy XII Revenant Wings. Lots of spin-offs have been made from this overly popular franchise. Lots of them. Yeah, if you didn't know, there's even a Final Fantasy XII spin-off, and it sucks ass! Again, it's a real-time game, but with strategy. That means you do jack shit while your characters move around and act like idiots. You wanna know who are the main protagonists here? Van and Penelo. That's right, as if developers were never aware that people hated Final Fantasy XII for putting these two completely plot-wise useless characters as the main ones. It's as if they took everything that was wrong with the original game on the PS2 and threw it here just for fun. What was the point in localizing this atypical drawl of a game? This belongs to all those stupid-ass spin-offs that never leave Japan. Believe me, I enjoyed Final Fantasy XII on the PS2, and it does get a lot of undeserved hate in my opinion, but this nerve-wracking abomination only served to stain its name even more. You know, we do get tons of Final Fantasy spin-offs every goddamn year, and I feel most fans are grateful for that. Revenant Wings, however, was completely unnecessary, and both time and money could have been spent better into localizing another game. Any other game! Number 1. Criminal Girls 1 and 2. The first one was originally released for the PSP, only in Japan, of course, exactly where it should have remained! Anyway, these pair were released on the PS Vita and localized by our favorite fan service company, Nippon Ichi Software. Yeah, no, not Compile Hard. No sir, Nippon Ichi Software. They're both turn-based RPGs that revolve around you being a prison warden left to his own devices. The goal is to take them out of prison as they investigate the mysteries behind it. In order to do that, your convicts need to train so that they can fight the monsters lurking around in these ironically fun and addictive battle mechanics that revolve around making combos and consecutive attacks with them. I mean it, the battle system is great! Sadly, they eventually become extremely repetitive and tedious, considering they're both grindfests, in particular the first one. The only problem, big problem with them, is what you need to do in order to help the girls learn their skills. You need to do sexual bondage punishing to them, to motivate them. These two games, this little franchise takes the whole cake and it's by far the perfect definition of an RPG that should have stayed in Japan. What the hell were they thinking when they localized these two obnoxious and overly perverted games? Or even worse, what the ass were they thinking when they developed them? But we're not supposed to take this that seriously, so I'll just wrap it up by saying this. I like playing Criminal Girls, because they're both not bad at all. But honestly, I think they could have done better without some eccentric ideas. So I'm sorry to say, but I'm an opinionated motherfucker and I think this game should have stayed in Japan. So many messed up games out there. So many completely fucked up games. Some really bad, really bad, like among the worst RPGs of all time. And some that are just okay. Why did we get this RPG instead of, I don't know, both the Legend of Heroes games that never got localized on the PSP? You know, those Ao no Kiseki, Zero no Kiseki, or whatever. Those are great games. I know they're fan translated, but shouldn't we have gotten games like those instead of, I don't know, Quest 64? Or maybe Time and fucking Eternity? That's the sad reality we live in nowadays. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and share this video with your friends. See you next time.